This is the Mercedes-Benz E53 AMG Cabriolet. It belongs to a rare breed of four-seater convertibles. Of course, it's not based on the same long wheelbase as the E-Class that is sold to us, but in terms of the comfort, I'm not really complaining. There is enough space, the contouring of the seats is not too bad either, so it's not too bad here in the second row. Also, this car has come at a rather good time. There's a nip in the air, there's enough sunlight to make this a pleasant weather to drive in. The kind of drive we would love to have the roof down. Oh, and this car, it takes an awfully long time to retract that roof. Almost 20 seconds, which is the only slow mechanical bit on the E53 Cabriolet. And you can option this roof in 4 colors and the body in 5. It's a rather good looking car too. I like how the long nose is sort of balanced out by this long boot that you get. Of course, the boot space is very limited. This is a convertible, but I like the attention to detail. Like for example, this panel that opens up to accommodate the mechanism for the roof opening and closing, etc. It houses 2 of the 13 Burmester speakers. I also like the other attention to detail, which is this metal panel. It forms the window line, but then wraps around the rest of the cabin quite nicely. It's a bit of a nautical theme, so to say. And on that note, you can match this particular panel or this color, this finish on the dashboard inlay panels as well. But I think they should have also given you the option of choosing the Maybach style, the yacht inspired wooden panels with the thin, the slim metal ribs in them. I think that would have gone better with that nautical theme. And continuing on that, I think this is the kind of car that would look perfect when you drive it to a marina where you have a yacht waiting for you. But I can't imagine such a picture perfect setting in India. The Mumbai docks certainly won't cut it. So the next best thing, mountain roads. This is where we are going to be driving it. Oh, and it loves the winding roads. The short wheelbase ensures that it feels sharp and agile through the bends and not one bit like an E-Class. While the quick yet linear power delivery in this 53 tune ensures that it doesn't feel as overwhelming or muscle car-like like the E63 AMG. This car is not only about its rare 4-seater convertible body style, it's also not so much about the way it sounds. Of course, the sound could have been more evocative, there could have been more crackles and pop, but I quite like this soundtrack. But yeah, like I said, it's more than just the design, it's more than just the sound. Even the engine is quite potent. Sure, it doesn't create headlines the way a hand-built AMG V8 would, but this N-Line 6, it's quick, it's fast, it's mated to a quick gearbox, and even the handling package is surprisingly good. You would expect a convertible to not have a very rigid chassis the way a coupe would, or even for that matter the E53 sedan would, but you will be impressed at how it enters corners, maintains balance through it, and exits them. It does justice to that AMG badge that you have peppered all across the car. It's certainly not as sharp as the A45 AMG, but doesn't feel like a 4-seater when you start attacking the bends. Sure, it's not a hardcore track tool, but if you do decide to take it to the racetrack, you also get this Track Pace app, which is a part of this big 12.3-inch infotainment screen. Now, there are no racetracks in the vicinity, so if I were to select it, I can't really show you much. But if you were to take it to a racetrack, you will be able to get all your racetrack derived data right here. You have the telemetry, you have your lap timer. Not just that, it will also show you after a few laps what is the line that you took around the racetrack. It will also show you what is the ideal line around the racetrack so that you can even compare how good a driver you have been with this car. That, I think, is some good stuff to have. Similarly, you can also take it to a drag strip. You can get your quarter mile data, your standing kilometer, etc., etc. All that is available right here. You don't need a fancy suite of apps on your phone. You don't need any fancy additional hardware that needs to be installed in the car, all of which is part of the package. That is good news. Of course, there are adjustable dampers too, and the comfort mode just makes it a bit too soft, almost like a Mercedes-Benz luxury sedan more than a coupe or a convertible. Certainly not an AMG. That's how soft it can go, which is a good thing, because when you need it on bad roads, it gives you a nice supple suspension setup. But the Sport Plus mode, that stiffens up things. Of course, it's still not as sharp as something like an AMG GT. There you're talking about a completely different breed of car, or a different breed of sports cars from AMG. But it stiffens it up to a level where the car doesn't feel squishy, it doesn't feel vague. Everything feels precise, from the steering to the suspension. The car just works as intended. It will point in the direction where you want to go, and will power out of corners with that potent engine. Of course, this is not going to be the first or the only sports car in somebody's garage. This is going to be bought by people who want that leisurely sports car which looks good, sounds good when it's out on the road. And then if you decide to take it to the track, it performs well over there as well. And on mountain roads like these, all the way to some nice, sprightly fun around the winding roads. This 9-speed gearbox is very quick. It's telepathic even. But using the paddle shifters behind the wheel, it just adds to the drama. It just makes the driving a lot more fun. So the beauty of this engine is also the EQ boost function that it comes with between gear shifts, or when you need that low-end performance, especially around inclines like these which have a lot of hairpins, etc. There's that EQ boost function which comes into play. On paper, it gives you about 22 PS of boost, but more importantly, it acts like a torque fill. So between gear shifts, on inclines like these, it'll give the engine that additional torque that is required to ensure that the performance is linear, the power delivery is linear, there are no breaks in between. So irrespective of the pace at which you are driving, it always ensures that there is some edge of the seat entertainment. And then there is, of course, a suite of electronics, safety net that ensures that things never go out of hand. The engine revs to 6,500 RPM, and it sounds quite nice doing that. Of course, don't compare it to the V8. It's got its own signature soundtrack of an inline 6, which is enjoyable in its own way. And with the wind curtains up, what fills into the cabin is a swooshing sound that is quite unique and likable. Usually with convertibles like these, when you're driving at speed, there's a lot of wind noise that filters into the cabin. So having a conversation with your co-passenger or even with the camera becomes, well, a bit challenging. Not so much here in the E53. The sound insulation, even with the roof down, is actually quite good. It cuts out the wind noises rather nicely, and as if the windows weren't enough, you have an additional switch which will pull up some wind curtains. Not just behind me, but even here, right on top, that reduces the buffeting effect. How cool is that? Pretty cool, I would say. And also ensures that if you're driving on a cold day, things still remain warm and cozy inside the cabin. Perfect for the cold mountains. And for that kind of cold weather or the mountain roads, you also get the 4MATIC all-wheel drive system, which ensures that there's plenty of grip all the time. But because this all-wheel drive is tuned by AMG, it's also fun-oriented when you engage the Sport or the Sport Plus modes. Mercedes-Benz isn't offering the race pack with this, so you will not get the drift mode. Bird's gonna be unhappy. But even without it, this is a very quick car. Get it right and you will sprint from 0 to 100 in a little over 4 seconds, and will carry on accelerating, putting power down to the road until it reaches a top speed of 250 kilometers an hour. Honestly, I don't really care about the top speed. What I do like is that I can enjoy a drive like this with the top down, maybe with 3 people in the car, like-minded ones of course. Enjoy this kind of handling, enjoy this engine, enjoy that mid-range punch, enjoy the way it exits corners. Do this for a few hours and then pull over, grab a cup of coffee and just smile at each other for the lovely drive that it was. That's the kind of car this is. More than just regular open-top motoring. Time to pull over and get that coffee.